Mr. Meddle goes to the grocer's. One morning, Mr. Meddle took his shopping basket and went to the grocer's. He wanted a dozen eggs. They were a penny each, he knew, so he slipped a shilling into his pocket to pay for them. When he got there, Mr. Sugarman, the grocer, was not in his usual place, behind the counter. He had gone out to his yard to get some oil for a customer. Mr. Meddle wandered around the shop, looking at the biscuits and bacon and eggs. Dame Flap came in and said good morning. She sat down on a chair and waited. "I can't think what's happened to Mr. Sugarman," said Mr. Meddle. "I've been waiting quite a time." "It's a nuisance," said Dame Flap. "I'm in a hurry. I want some caster sugar to put on the top of a nice jam sandwich." "Well, I'll get it for you," said Mr. Meddle, most obligingly. "You can leave the money on the counter for Mr. Sugarman when he comes in, and I'll tell him it's for a pound of sugar." He hunted about for caster sugar. At last he found a big tin-lined drawer of what he thought was sugar, but it was salt. Mr. Meddle didn't think anything of tasting to make sure. No, he simply weighed out a pound, put it into Dame Flap's bag, and she put the money on the counter. "It's nice to be useful," thought Mr. Meddle, sitting down to wait. As he waited, the doorbell rang, and old Father Jenks came in. "Hello, where's Mr. Sugarman?" he asked. "I want some caraway seeds. My wife is baking a seed cake, and she's got no caraway seeds." "Let me serve you, Father Jenks," said Mr. Meddle, jumping up. "I'll soon find the seeds for you." He hunted around and came to a big tin of seeds. "These must be caraway seeds," said Meddle, pleased. If only he had looked on the outside of the tin, he would have seen that it was full of canary seed. But no, Mr. Meddle didn't think of looking. He was quite sure it was full of caraway seeds. He weighed out a little packet of them and gave them to Father Jenks. "I don't know how much caraway seeds are, but if you leave a shilling, Mr. Sugarman will send you the change," said Mr. Meddle grandly. So Father Jenks put a shilling on the counter, took up the packet, and went out. Mr. Meddle really felt he was being remarkably useful. He hoped somebody else would come in, and sure enough, somebody did. It was little Molly Miggle. She wanted some butter. Mr. Meddle beamed at her. He saw some yellow tablets on a shelf that looked to him just like butter. He took one down and wrapped it up. He didn't see that it was yellow soap. Silly old Meddle. Molly Miggle put down 9pence on the counter and went out. Mr. Meddle was just going to sit down when Spink came in to do some shopping. Spink was a sharp little fellow who didn't like Meddle at all. "What can I do for you this morning, Spink?" said Meddle. "Do for me? What do you mean?" said Spink. "You're not the grocer." "Oh, I'm just serving people till Mr. Sugarman comes back," said Meddle. "Do tell me what you want." "Well, I shan't," said Spink. "I'm quite able to get what I want myself. I know you and your meddling ways." Mr. Meddle felt angry. Spink walked over to the eggs and picked out one or two, weighing them in his hand to get the heaviest ones. Meddle went and stood at his elbow. "You are not to do that," he said to Spink. "It's not fair to take the best eggs. You should take them as they come." "Oh, go away," said Spink, giving Meddle a sharp dig with his elbow. Meddle gave a squeal and then dug his elbow into Spink. Spink shouted and turned on Meddle. He gave him a good shaking and then let go of him suddenly. Meddle fell straight into the box of new-laid eggs. Crash! Smash! He broke about 100 eggs at one go. He sat up in the box, covered with yellow yolk, very angry indeed. Spink yelled with laughter and danced round the shop in delight. "You can pay for them," he shouted. "You can pay for them." He ran out of the shop, still laughing. Meddle was just struggling to get out of the egg box when Mr. Sugarman, the grocer, came in. He stared at Meddle in the greatest astonishment. "Are you trying to hatch those eggs?" he asked at last. "I'm afraid it will be expensive, Mr. Meddle." "Spink pushed me in," said Meddle, trying to get out. "You must make him pay for them, Mr. Sugarman. I was only trying to stop him taking your nicest eggs. And I've been very helpful to you this morning. If only you knew it. I've served heaps of customers." And at that moment, the 3 customers all came into the shop together, very angry indeed. Dame Flap slapped a blue bag down on the counter and glared at Meddle. "You gave me salt instead of sugar," she cried angrily. "You muddler, you meddler, I've spoiled my sandwich. It's got salt all over it now instead of sugar. And just look here, my wife says you gave me canary seed instead of caraway seed," shouted Father Jenks in a rage. "She emptied half of it into her cake mixture before she saw it was the wrong seed, and now I've got to spend the rest of the morning picking out those seeds. I've a good mind to pull your nose hard, sticking it into other people's business like that." "And my mother says this is yellow soap, not butter," said Molly Miggle, putting the soap on the counter. "She tried to cut it to spread on our bread, and it wouldn't spread. And when she tasted a bit, she found it was soap, and it made her feel ill. She's very angry indeed." Mr. Sugarman glared at Meddle. "Can't you stop meddling with other people?" he said. "I shall send you in a bill for canary seed, soap and salt, my dear Meddle, and I should like to know what you came to buy this morning. A pennyworth of sense, I should think." "I came to buy some eggs," said Meddle, getting out of the egg box, looking very hot and bothered to hear of all his mistakes. "Well, you seem to have got your eggs all right," said Dame Flap, giggling as she saw Meddle covered with yolks. "Put a few into your basket," said Mr. Sugarman, and he shook the mess of broken eggs into Meddle's basket. "I'll send in the bill tomorrow. Good day." Poor Meddle. He had to walk all the way home covered in egg yolk, and he didn't like it at all. "Have you sat down in a custard?" yelled the boys and girls he passed. Mr. Meddle didn't say a word. He went indoors and put himself and his clothes into a nice hot bath. And whilst he was steaming there, he made up his mind as usual that he wouldn't meddle any more. Dear, dear, what a pity he can't do what he says.